$170,000 on a flip in Southern California that's been going on for a few months now. And I just want to go ahead and discuss that with you guys on how we were able to manage to get this property under contract and everything that we've gone through to get it to the finish line. It's actually funding today. So after all expenses, after all invoices, me, my partner, and our JV partners in California, shout out to them. We're going to be netting around $170,000. And that's after paying off hard money costs. That's after paying off reimbursements, construction costs. And that's also after paying off interest for the gap lender that brought in the money for the down payment on the hard money loan. So what does this teach us, right? This teaches us about collaboration over competition. This deal has taught me, and it's taught me before, but now much more so, that I'm going to be teaming up with different individuals in different states and providing the acquisitions, providing the properties, joint venturing with them. Because what I've noticed is the process that we had was much more easier and seamless than if I would take this down myself with my partner. Because number one, we don't know LA like they do, right? They've done many deals in LA. So we don't know LA like they do. And they know the areas, they know the pockets, they know how much to purchase for, they have the construction costs, they have the construction crews, and they have everything else. And so it would not be possible if I didn't joint venture with my friends in California on this deal and to make it as seamless as possible. Sure, we had our ups and downs. We had a buyer that came in and then ended up backing out. And then we had another buyer that came in, and this is actually the buyer that purchased the property. He did ask for seller credits, which we were happy to give. There were some things that came up in the inspection that we were not aware of. So we ended up giving some seller credits. But the nice thing is we were able to sell this property at over asking price, because once again, it's California, guys. So you got to understand that California is like a whole different world. And I'm starting to realize that. And we got the property for about $410,000. We sold it for $700,000. We gave a credit to the buyer of about $30,000. But the way we gave the credit to the buyer is we actually are paying the contractors directly at closing per the buyer's request. So the funds that we're receiving, we're actually going to pay there's an invoice for the contractors to start on whatever needs to be completed by the buyer. So that's something that you can do. Make sure you work with a good title company. Make sure you work with someone that's reputable and trusted. And if you want to reach out to us and you want to joint venture with us, if you're in SoCal, please let me know. We're ready to go. We have all the systems and processes in place. We have the contractors. We have the partners out there. We can stop the auctions. We can postpone the auctions. We can provide the earnest money deposit, whatever needs to be. Doesn't have to be actually California, guys. It could be anything. It could be any states. Just let us know. We have connections, and now we have a pretty big network of people now, so we can always assist with that. And this is, this obviously was a few months for us to get this done. You got to buy the property, you got to get under contract, you got to get the hard money loan. Then you got to do the construction, then you got to start marketing it. So it does take a few months before you realize that paycheck. But in the midst of that, you always have to make sure that your pipeline is being filled with other deals. And we've learned a lot of mistakes over the last couple of months of how we're structuring deals and how we're putting things together, and how we're building out our acquisitions department, how we're building out our disposition department, how we're bringing on training other people. And all this comes, to fruition because you're putting in the work, because you're putting in that effort. Without that effort, without that work ethic, without that consistency and discipline, these things will never happen to you. And so just because you have a deal in process and you're hoping that you're going to make a lot of money on it, listen, doesn't necessarily mean that deal is going to close. Something could happen, something could fall apart. So you always want to make sure that you always keep on keeping on when it comes to building up your pipeline and getting contracts as well. So my biggest thing is just make those offers. Make those offers. The worst thing they could say is they say no to you, but make any sort of offer you can possibly make. Because if you make an offer, you never know. They could say yes, they can counter it. One thing I like to do when it comes to me making offers to people is like I say, okay, um, you know, underwriting came back and wants to offer you $400,000 and $500. Here is your code. This money is already set aside for you. We're ready to move forward with this. And the person might say, well, you know what? I don't know if I could do $400,000. It seems kind of low, right? Well, what we do is we come back and we say, hey, listen, if you can do 400,000, I only want to go back to the underwriter one time because I want to go ahead and, you mentioned to me that you're ready to move. You've already found the place and everything else. How close can you come to this $400,000 number? Because I'm on your side. I'm only in between here. It's up to the underwriter to make that final decision. So how close can you come to that 400,000? And you'd be surprised how many people come very close to the number, or they'll say, okay, well, I want 425. And you say, I don't know if I could do 425, but if the underwriter will say it will meet us in the middle, is that something we can move forward with? I just want to kind of preemptively put that out there right now, just because I know the conversation that I'm going to have with the underwriter. And so just think of this, you're making sure the seller is getting the best that they possibly can, but you're also making sure that you're moving forward in the right direction by already establishing that rapport, establishing that connection with the seller, making sure you find out the motivation so you can help them, right? Because you want to help the seller. Always hear the seller out. Never just throw offers out there. Some people might say, "Oh, just give me an offer," right? Those people, a lot of times, those people, you're not really going to get a good deal with, and you're probably going to be stuck with a bad property. And I'm just being honest with you because there's no motivation. They don't care. There's really not much you can do. You cannot just be a bank and just say, "Hey, I'll give you this much." Because you're never going to get the best deal that way. You got to find the motivation why they're moving, what's happening, whether it's a pre-foreclosure cash deal, whether it's a creative deal, whatever it is, you got to find out the numbers that make sense for both parties. And so I'm just really, really happy and grateful and blessed that we're able to close this deal today. And my partners in California, two great guys, just beautiful souls. Really appreciate them. I've learned so much from them, and I'm very grateful that we've met. And so showing gratefulness, appreciation for other individuals is so important in this business, especially ones that you're going to joint venture with. Even though let's say you find a deal or whatever the case may be, there's still so much more to things that need to be done. And it's always good to have a good joint venture partnership with somebody that can take that burden away from you, such as, let's say, the construction burden, the project management. This property, it's funny because he told me, he's like, Mike, this is like the very first property that we did that required a pre-sale inspection in California, and they've done dozens of flips already and wholesales. And this is the first property they said that they needed a pre-sale inspection. And for me, it was like, man, like, what is going on? How does this gonna work? All this stuff, but it worked out well. And I'm starting to realize that you just gotta push forward, man. You just gotta push forward. You gotta fight with your mind. You gotta fight without thinking about what's happening tomorrow. You gotta think about what's happening today, right now. You have to believe and you have to understand that these problems are going to arise and you have to find those solutions, and you cannot be impulsive of any decisions that you make. You have to really be analytical. Sometimes there's times where something is just so good that you can be impulsive because you're buying the property at such a low price that it's almost impossible for you to lose because you're buying it at such a low price. But most of the deals, you have to really sit there and just make sure the numbers work. Now, guys, the thing is, even if you get under contract and the seller tells you one thing, right, about, hey, this is what's wrong with the property, this is what needs to be repaired, and this is what needs to be done, and you walk the property, or your contractor walks the property, and they say, you know what, Mike, the whole plumbing system has to go, the furnace is on its last breath, AC units, the roof is falling apart. You can actually go back to that seller and you can renegotiate because of the fact that you already have that proof. You already have that proof. You've done that inspection, or your buyer has done that inspection. And so when it comes to going back and renegotiating a price, when you provide that proof, you provide those numbers, you provide the figures to the seller, they become more understanding because they understand, whoa, well, maybe, what I thought, 5 years ago or 10 years ago, what the construction costs were are no longer valid. What I thought the repairs were going to be are no longer just those repairs. Now there's more things that need to be done. And so making an offer, getting it under contract, you still have your inspection period, you still have everything else. So you can always go back and you can always say, hey, listen, I have to be at this price. If I can't be at this price, I understand. If we're not a good fit for each other, I'm going to go ahead and walk away, for no problem. But I do want to make this work for you. I have the cash available. We're ready to go. We can close in the next 2 to 3 weeks. We'll cover all the closing costs. There will be no real estate agent commissions. You'll get net this for sure. And then we'll be able to close out in 2 weeks. Most of the time when the seller is motivated and it's already in process and in escrow, you will see that a lot of people will say, just yes, let's just move forward. I want to get this done. And as long as you're just helping them solve a problem, maybe providing a little bit more of help as well, maybe on the moving aspect of things or the leasing aspect of things, that is something that's very helpful to people, believe it or not. Or maybe you're helping them out with probate, or maybe somebody's just behind on, like, let's say their cell phone bill or their electric bill, and you just, hey, you know what? I'm sorry to hear that. Let me go ahead and pay that for you so we can move along with the process, so you can have your cell phone activated, so you can have the electricity, the water in your house flowing, right? And so these are the types of things you have to, when you're doing a discovery call, you have to figure all this out when you're doing this. And so it's very prudent that you do that. It's very important that you do that. And so this whole, this is actually what I'm going to post, the 170, that's actually net. A lot of people tend to post their gross, right? What we're making on this deal. So gross is like over 200,000, which is crazy, right? But still 170 net after all expenses. That is a pretty nice paycheck, right? And so what you want to do is you want to spend more time on those types of deals, right? Because those types of deals are gonna put you in a trajectory where you want to go, and you're going to get there much faster than you would be if you're spending time on other deals. And so you got to kind of figure out, like, okay, what is my goal? What is my aim? What am I trying to do here? And so for me, it's a couple of things. It's obviously learning how to fix and flip, because I enjoyed it. I've done a few fix and flips. Is it stressful? Absolutely. It's super stressful. If anybody tells you otherwise, they're a complete liar. Things come out of the woodwork. Things come out that you didn't think that were going to be there. And then you're like, oh man, like this, I have to add this to my budget. I have to add this to my budget. Or same thing with wholesaling, the wholesaler goes out there. A buyer goes out there, then the buyer goes to you. Then you have to have backup buyers. That's why I always tell people, listen, your buyer, great. You have that buyer that EMD is in. It doesn't necessarily mean that buyer is going to close. So if you have other buyers reaching out to you, say, hey, listen, I appreciate your offer. We currently have this under contract with a backup buyer and with a buyer, and I would love for you to get first dibs on this if for whatever reason it doesn't go through. And so I've done that many times before, and it has worked out very well for me. That's why every text message I get, every single DM I get, every service that anybody offers me, I always jot down their information because you never know. You could have three transactional lenders, you can have three gators, you have private money partners, but you always got to keep adding to that list because unfortunately, some people might get out of the game. Some people might run out of money. Some people might not be doing the business anymore. And so you always have to make sure that you have these relationships with other folks and individuals to continue your business on, and not just rely on one person. Because if you just rely on one person, that person might say no to you one day, and then what? Then you're just kind of shit out of luck at that point, right? So remember, when you're at these networking events, you're taking on these numbers. I don't care if you have 5 transactional lenders, have all 5 of them, have everything that they're doing, how much they're charging, what they're willing to do, what they're not willing to do, and have that in your arsenal because you never know when you're going to need them to get a loan done. And so that's what I want to definitely leave you guys with is just make sure that you're cultivating your relationships, you're appreciating your relationships, and doing everything else that you possibly can. When it comes to when it comes to these foreclosures, guys, we're gonna have a event next week, and I think I'm gonna really focus on just the pre foreclosures because that's gonna be the easiest way for you to get a deal is the pre foreclosures. And so we're going to have an event in Schaumburg, Illinois next Thursday at 6 o'clock. So try to be there before 6 if you can. We get started pretty early. It's more of like a mastermind event. There's really no spiel or anything like that. We kind of just go right into everything. And so just if you can make it, we're going to start posting it on Eventbrite today. You're going to start seeing links in my bio and my Instagram stories. And I love to see you guys there because I'm always open to speaking to you and seeing, how we can provide value to each other, right? I'm always looking for bird dogs. I'm always looking for people that want to better themselves, that want to learn real estate because real estate is a very fun game, but it's also a very stressful game. And so you have to understand the game of chess when it comes to real estate. And with the game of chess, when it comes to real estate, we are going to be playing it at the highest level, right? Because that's where you want to be at. But in order to play at the highest level, you have to be in rooms where people are playing at the highest level. And so at these events, you are going to meet people that are smarter than you, that are doing things that you want to do. And these people you can collaborate with, right? The biggest thing that you can do as a person that maybe is just a student is bring value, bring deals to people, find out what their buy boxes are, start creating those relationships, start opening up your mind that 100% of a deal, if it doesn't close, is nothing, right? But if you joint venture with somebody and they've done that in the past, then now you're learning. Now you're in the learning phase. You can see the whole process, how it works, how the deal comes to fruition, how it closes. And so when it comes to joint venturing with people, please take greed out of the equation. I'm telling you, it will be the killer of your dreams. It will be detrimental to your growth. Sometimes greed is good, but not when you're joint venturing with other people. It's not good. You want to be greedy in life because you want to have the best for your family, for your children, for your spouse, for anybody else, and just overall for your life, right? But don't be greedy when you're joint venturing with somebody because it's a very quick way to lose a relationship, you lose credibility, and then also ruin your reputation because people will know you as the greedy guy, right? As the guy that said one thing and did another. You know what's funny? These live events that I'm doing right now, like for example, right now on Instagram Live and TikTok Live, it's kind of a de-stressor. It's kind of a de-stressor because I get to open up and talk about what's going on in the business, what we're doing, and kind of allows you guys to kind of bring you into my life, into my journey, into what I'm going through, all the ups and downs. Because once again, there's a lot of ups and there's a lot of downs and a lot of there, and sometimes there's just consolidation, which is middle ground. And with that being said, you have to kind of find that balance, which I still struggle with. I still struggle with anxiety every single day when I wake up in the morning. I really hate to look at my phone because of all the emails that I get and text messages. But I'm also starting to realize that a lot of my anxiety comes from tasks that I didn't complete the night before. And so right now I'm trying to really get better at that because I've done that yesterday and I've completed a lot of tasks and I'm feeling much better today, which is great. But I still wake up with that bug. Like, you know what? Like that bug in your stomach, like that feeling that just won't go away. Like for some reason, it's like in that pit of your stomach. That is what I get, and I'm trying to figure out where that comes from, and I'm starting to see kind of where it comes from. And I have to have conversations with certain individuals, but a lot of it is probably my insecurities as well from being on top, kind of in the mortgage world, to then kind of everything kind of being taken away for me, and in the span of a year, when I was like one of the top mortgage brokers on the reverse mortgage side in the industry, actually top 20. It's kind of crazy to really think about small little mortgage company producing top 20 of the top 20 in the nation in reverse mortgages. Basically had just one office, and one satellite office and just a few employees. So I think maybe a lot of it comes from you know fate, being successful at something and then failing at it without kind of not my fault, right? Not really my fault, but maybe I could have done something different. I don't know. But I don't want to go back to the past because it wasn't that bad. It was just an industry that I had to pivot from. And a lot of my friends tell me that I did a good thing, that I pivoted because they told me for the last couple of years, a lot of their friends and a lot of the businesses that they owned, they went under in the mortgage business. Places like Rocket and UWM, they really put a tremendous focus on refinancing. And one of my friends that works for Rocket, he also he also owns a pizzeria and everything, but he works for Rocket Mortgage, and the guy banks, but the thing is, he makes a good amount of money, but he works like Monday through Sunday. I'm talking about nonstop on the phone, nonstop sales, nonstop grind. His sales is like on another level as well because he has to sell these people a higher interest rate. So they're going from, let's say, 2.5 to 4% to a 6% interest rate, right? And the way he's positioning it as doing a cash out refinance because, guys, unfortunately, Americans in America, most are in debt, and even though they get out of debt, they tend to get into debt again, and it's like this like continuous circle of getting into debt, and they just can't stop it. They make unnecessary purchases. Some have different addictions, whether it's drug, whether it's gambling, whether it's borrowing money to family members, whether it's investing in stupid family members' ideas or friends' ideas and then losing all their money, whether it's losing money to scams. For example, those scams in Nigeria that you get those emails about those princes and stuff, and people. I personally know. So I had this customer we did a reverse mortgage for. Now, guys, this is going to be a story for you. You got to hear this out. We were doing a reverse mortgage for her refinance, and she was going to get like about $250,000. Okay, beautiful home, Laguna Beach, refinance. She was qualified because her home went up so much in value, right? Like after COVID, all those houses went so much up in value. And what happened was she kept on pressing us like, hey, like, why aren't we closing? Where's this money? Why am I not getting money? And we're like, well, we're closing, but what's the rush? She's like, oh, there's no rush. I just need the money. I need the money. I need the money. And so we close the file. Like, we're happy. We go out there. We meet her in person. Like, we actually fly out there and we say hi to her. She's such a beautiful soul, beautiful human being, retired, living in a beautiful home. And come to find out, the reason she was pressing us for this money is because she got one of those emails, and she was talking to some man out of, Nigeria or some country in Africa. Because remember, Africa is a continent, and so he actually swindled her out of over $250,000. And she called us and she's like, well, can I get that money back? I'm like, ma'am, we gave you the money at closing. You received this at closing. It went straight into your account. What you do after closing, that's up to you. If you decide to send over $250,000 to some random person in Nigeria and wire them and take the time to do that, and actually be at a bank and the banker asking you, ma'am, are you sure you want to do this? Do you know this person? Have you met this person before? What's this money for? And when you say yes to all of that, I mean, I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do. And it hurts me so much because she was retired. She could have lived a beautiful life. And $250,000 just went to shits because some asshole in Nigeria decided to send out an email that day, that time to her. It didn't go to her spam inbox or anything like that. And pretended he was, a prince or was in love with her. And she's like, yeah, one of those things where, yeah, if you give me this much money, we get to unlock this trust or this safe or whatever it is, and you get $10 million, right? This is not the first time somebody has been scammed like this. Guys, this is prevalent. This happens all the time. So please be careful when you get these emails. They are scams. They are fake. When you get crypto emails, they are scams. They are fake. Nobody's going to give you money. Coinbase, all these other companies are not going to text you telling you to log into your account or your account's been compromised. They don't do that kind of stuff. So before you do anything, please consult with an attorney. If you get a random email, consult with a family member, consult with somebody you can trust, because if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true. And so another thing, when you go to these networking events, like for example, my networking events for Sub 2 or in Chicago or any other sub networking events, you're going to meet people. And the cool thing is people love to interact with people that have the same mindset, that have the same goals, they have the same alignment. And so when you're going to be meeting these people, you can always bring that up. Say, hey, I got this opportunity. It's an investment opportunity. I'm not sure if it's good or not. Could you help me take a look at it maybe? Maybe if it's a good opportunity, maybe we can joint venture on this and make money together. Those are the kind of conversations you should be having, right? Or if like somebody came up to me with that email, right, at one of my networking events, I would have saved them the 200 grand right on the spot. I would have deleted that email and said, absolutely, by no chance are you sending any money to this person in Nigeria or whatever country that they're getting these emails from. So of course, there's a lot of great Nigerian people out there, but unfortunately, Nigerian people, like, this is what we're not, these emails are known for. They come from Nigeria. It clearly says in there Nigerian prince, Nigerian princess. And so, I know I'm not trying to stereotype anything, but these emails clearly state that it's in Nigeria. So be careful out there, guys. There's so much fraud going on, wire fraud, all this stuff, and people are just trying to scam people out of their hard-earned money. People don't understand how hard it is that we work, like, for all this. Like, how much stress we go through and anxiety to close these deals. We go through so much, and then just to get scammed out of your money, man, that's got to be a tough pill to swallow. Now, don't get me wrong. I've given a lot of money away to the stock market years ago when I was trading, when I was putting on investments, when I thought I was on top of the world. I made good money, and then I traded it away. But eventually, you get older, you get wiser, and you learn, and you figure things out, and you see certain patterns, and you see how the world reacts to certain things, and then hopefully you grow up. You grew up, right? For me, it took some time. It took me until my 30s to realize certain things, but it's never too late. And I would love to see you guys at this event on next Thursday. Come on out, September 25th at 6 o'clock. We're gonna be chatting. We're gonna be doing business speed networking, which is one of my favorite things to do. And I love to see you guys all there. And one thing, if you guys are interested, if you're, let's say you want to buy a property and you don't want to show income, you don't want to show bank statements, whatever this may be, but you want to buy yourself an investment property, you can go to creativelending.com, that's with a K, and we can assist you with a debt service coverage ratio loan, which means that we're only loaning based upon the asset itself. So it's a company that I use for a lot of my transactions. If you want to do ground up construction, if you want to do a fix and flip loan, they can help you as well. If you want to buy a flip and then refinance and rent it out, they can help you with that as well. If you need some gap lending, they can assist you as well. So there's just a lot of different opportunities with creativelending.com. That's with a K. And then if you need transactional lending, you can go to creativefunds.com. That's with a K. Fill out your information, and then you'll be able to. We'll let you know if we'll approve you. You'll pretty much know within 24 hours if it's been approved or not. But that way you will be able to double close. So if you need funds for double closing, or maybe you need funds for a Morby method, we can also assist you as well with creativefunds.com. Guys, I really appreciate all the follows, but if you guys are not following me on Instagram or YouTube, the more follows that I get, the more I could produce this content, because obviously producing content also costs money. So if you guys like my content, if you like what I'm talking about, please give me a like, give me a follow on Instagram or on YouTube, subscribe to my channel. It's all Creative Mike with a K. There's nothing more to it. It's very easy. You can see it right there on my screen, Creative Mike with a K. And I really appreciate everybody. I get some awesome comments. I get some awesome DMs. So thank you so much for supporting me, for supporting what I'm doing, for everything else. I see that I have some people on TikTok here. So thank you guys for joining on TikTok. And as you guys know, I do a lot of creative finance and pre-foreclosures. We're really focusing on pre-foreclosures because that is where you're going to make the most amount of money. And you're going to make the quickest amount of money as well, is doing pre-foreclosures, as long as the seller agrees to sell the house to you. But that's something where we come into. So if you want to be part of the sales JV team, just come to one of our Zooms and let me know, hey, I want to be part of your sales JV team. I want to learn how to do this. And I will provide you the link to our drive, and then you can go ahead and get going with us and start working with us. And let's work together. Let's make some money. We have the connections, we have the network, and we can stop everything. And then you could just go ahead and make money with us. So with that being said, I first of all appreciate everybody here that's listening, that's been listening to the podcast. I don't know if it's a podcast or if it's a show. I don't know anymore. I just kind of speak my mind on different things and what's going on with our business. I want to give you guys all the good and the bad. I don't want to just give you the good. And so I'm gonna have to get going here pretty soon because I have a meeting I have to go to. But I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for everything, and thank you so much for listening to me. And I welcome questions. I welcome anything from you guys that if you have anything that you want to say, or if you have any questions about something, please note that if you want to work with me, I have acquisitions managers that are extremely good at what they do, and so we're going to be having, if you send out a deal to me, I'm probably going to most likely introduce you to my acquisitions manager. And that's going to help you out, help you sell the deal, help you do everything from start from A to Z. So just keep that in mind. Unfortunately, my bandwidth lately has been focusing on building systems and processes in our company so we can systematize everything. And I'm currently also training a new person here at the company as well. That's taking up a lot of my time, which I don't mind, because one thing that I've learned is that you want to start building your team immediately and start training immediately. But you want to make sure that you first do that role, so you understand that role very, very well. So when you pass off the baton to the next person, you teach them everything that you know, and don't hold anything back. With that being said, guys, thank you so much. Appreciate you. I appreciate Sub2 so much. Pace Morby, everybody from Sub2, everybody that has helped me throughout this journey. Thank you guys so much from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. And till next time, this has been the Creative Mike podcast. My name is Creative Mike, and as always, stay creative, my friends. Thanks.